Okay, I had a little mechanical glitch there, so I'm restarting the program, and we'll get started right here from scratch. You see my picture here in the studio. So I'm going to go ahead and put on my painting introduction video. Okay, switch on the main camera. Hi, a little bit of my computer stopped on me, so I had to reboot it and get started again. So uh, apologize for that a little bit, but here I am, Everetts Watercolors, live on Thursday afternoon at 2 o'clock with Everetts Watercolors with a watercolor demonstration. And I'm broadcasting live to LinkedIn, YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, and later on into Instagram. And in my studio this afternoon with my wife, Gloria.
Hello, everyone, and welcome.
And she'll be monitoring the broadcast along with the chat room. The chat room's live, so if you got a question or answer, go ahead and give me a comment. I don't see my chat room up there, but I know it's on there somewhere. If you have a comment or question, even during the broadcast, whatever, you can put one in the comments section below the video. You can make a comment and I can catch it there and get back to you as soon as I can. Okay, well today I'm going to do a watercolor painting, and I selected an area that's going to be like a city scene with some people in it. So I wanted to do a little painting here, and let me go to my setup table here. Let me show you my reference photo and so forth, and we'll talk about it. Okay, well this is a photograph that I've selected. As you can see here, it's a pretty complex scene. I've got buildings over here, I'm building over here on the right, and I got a bunch of people here in the plaza, or in the area, in the shopping area. Nice place. This is too complicated to paint. It's a lot of details, a lot of specific little things and so forth. So today I'm going to simplify this scene, but I'm still going to capture the buildings and the people and so forth, and we'll take it from there. So this is something a little bit new you probably have not seen me do before, but I always like to do that, to show you something new. So that's my starting point, my reference, and I always make a design drawing. Basically use the shapes and so forth out of the photograph to get me started. So that's my design drawing that I drew in pencil on my drawing pad, and then I transferred that to a quarter sheet of Gemini watercolor paper. This measures 15 inches long and 11 inches high. Quarter sheet of Gemini 140-pound cold press watercolor paper. Okay, it's the kind I usually use in all my demonstrations. And what I'm going to do first of all, before I get started, I'm going to I started the drawing on this, but I'm going to do a little more preparation. I'm going to do a little contour drawing to make sure that everything here I see is not, because I want to be able to see it. Everything I'm going to put in a little bit darker will not show up in my pencil drawing anyway. So I'm going to go ahead and make sure I've got a nice outline here that I can follow, I won't lose. So I'm going to just do it, and also get me a little bit familiar with the scene. Because this is exactly how my brush is going to move as I go around the painting. And over here, this will come down up here. So I'm drawing this building off here to the left now, and I'm going to make sure I have these lines that I can follow when I start putting the paint in. And I'll come right down. I'm going to go right around these figures here also. I'm going to come right around the figures. So I'll make sure I can see the shapes and so forth of those. Come right up, and I'm going to have I simplified also some of the, and I'm going to add, in the photograph these weren't here, but I'm going to add some more of those umbrellas over here. I like those. I like the umbrella shapes. So I'm going to include those in the structure of my painting. And I've also added some more people over here that I cannot see, and they're sitting at the tables over here on the left. And then there's some figures here in the middle ground. And the street continues way in the background. That's all way. There's another. I'll put another table and another umbrella over here. And these are the most important figures over here. I've made these my sort of my center of interest area, or part of the center of interest. A couple more people over here sitting at the table. And I got this one little lone character out here on the side just to add a little more. And then I've got some windows here. I'm just going to make little marks here that I know where they are. Okay, all right. So I just finished the outline drawing of the photograph. Okay. Now I'm going to show you. I'm going to take you over to my my palette. And well, that's not working too either. So let me see. I got to get that one started. My camera comes alive here. I have to reset it. Wake it up a little bit. Let me get that started. Well, that one's okay. It's the wrong camera. That's this one over here. I'm on the overhead camera. So I'll work on this. All right, check that one out. Let's see, activate. Okay. Configure. I got to make sure to take off the focus. Focus is okay. So I'm resetting my camera again because it went out on me for some reason. And let me go back to my close-up camera, make sure that one's set. Let's see, close-up overhead. Got to set that one. So I'm resetting my cameras again. Plug that one in. Okay, now it was working now. And let me set, I got to set the focus on this one. So these are all those setups I do before the program, but now I got to reset them because they were not working for me properly. So we'll apply that, come back and do an OK. Okay, so we're back in operation. Okay, let me take you back to my close-up camera, or my overhead camera. Let's see. Yeah, overhead. All right, so my palette, I've got several brushes here. I'm going to be using the medium-size Hake brush and also the small-size Hake brush. And I've got a couple, this is a number 15 round, 16 round, large round brush from Holbein. I got a couple of smaller brushes here that are rounds, that are synthetics. There are a couple of Scottos. And I've got my palette. Now I'm going to start here. I'm going to start with the sky. I'm going to mix a little bit of I'm going to mix up some paints here. On the sky, I'm going to use a little bit of cobalt blue. That's nice Mediterranean sky. So it's really bright, really dark blue. But I'm not going to follow the photograph. I just want to have a blue sky. So I'm going to go ahead and mix up a combination of cobalt blue and lighter blue and darker blue there. Okay, so that's nice and dark right there. Okay, and so now I'm going to show you my. I'm going to get the sky started. So I'm going to start with that one first. So let me go to my overhead camera again, and I'm going to take a wet sponge now. This is a natural hair. This is a natural sponge, and I just put a little bit of water in it. And I'm going to wet the sky. wet the paper so that the paint will flow a little smoother, a little easier to flow. So I'm going to get the sky started up here. Now squeeze out the excess water in the sponge, and then come back in here and go back and wipe up any. I don't want any puddles up here. I just want damp paper is all I want. Okay. All right. So now we're going to go ahead and put the sky in. So with that, I'm going to go in here and I'm going to put the blue, nice blue coloring here. I'm going to go right over top of the buildings because they're going to be a little bit darker when I get down to them anyway, so that doesn't matter. Go right over top of the buildings a little bit, won't hurt them. Putting in a nice blue sky. So the first wash is going to be putting in the sky color. This is the light color. This is the light colors of the painting. The sky and also the foreground. They've got a little bit of bright sun out there. Now I'm going to darken the top of that a little bit. I'll take a little more cobalt blue now. And I'm going to go across the top of this. Get a nice dark blue sky up here. Okay. Okay, now let's go. I'm gonna let that dry a little bit. I'll probably use the blow dryer on it a little bit, but I'll get it started here. Nice blue sky. And let me see. Make sure wipe off excess paint around the edges, on the edge of the painting. Okay. All right. So the sky is in, and now I'm going to mix the color here for the. Let me go back to my overhead. Now I'm going to mix the color for the foreground. The foreground is going to be a gray. So I'll use some of that blue I used. Take a little bit of burnt sienna. Take a little bit of burnt sienna. Mix it in with that blue. It'll give me a nice bluish gray. And I'm going to pick up a little bit of Payne's gray just to darken it down just a little bit. I'll pick up a little bit of lavender. So now I've got a gray color here I'm going to put on the ground. Okay, make sure I got plenty of paint there. So I mixed a little bit of the blue in with the brown, and mixed in a little bit of Payne's gray. So it's going to be a grayish blue color. Now I'm going to use the same brush. I'm going to use the same brush. I'll take it back to the close-up again. And you can see in the photograph, the foreground is like a light gray color. So I'm going to put the light gray color in the bottom here. So let me show you here. So again, I'm going to take the sponge with water in it, a natural sponge, and I'm going to wet the foreground here, which is the area, the walking area. Get a little bit damp. Squeeze out the excess water. Okay, so I got the paper damp now. I'm going to go in here now and paint this. I'm going to go ahead and do with the same thing. I'm going to paint right across the figures. They're going to be kind of backlit anyway when I finish the painting. They're going to be kind of backlit. So I'm going to go right across, paint those figures in, right across the figures. That's why I put a darker mark on the pencil. Remember, I went dark in the outline of the figures, right along with the sketch of the building, so I could make sure I could follow those along. I'm going to keep this one area over here a little bit lighter. And right now I have no white in the paper at all. The building's going to be covered up too, but I'm just getting the buildings. I'm getting the foreground and the sky done first. Okay, all right. So that's my two main areas right now. I'm going to let this dry, but I'm going to put the blow dryer on it. So let's get started here with the dryer. Go up here with the sky. So the first thing I did was, after I got the drawing outline a little better, then I went in with the cerulean blue and cobalt blue combination, and I painted in the sky. A nice light blue, a little darker at the top and lighter at the bottom. And watercolor always dries a little bit lighter, so you want to put it in nice and well, I would say enough saturation in the paint so it should show up when it dries. Because the paper absorbs the paint, and it'll lighten it up as it dries. That's what happens. So in watercolor, you have to plan for that. Plan for the final colors. So I'm drying this. I want to paint the buildings next. I want to make sure these areas here are dry, so when I can paint the buildings, I don't want to run into that wet paint. So I'm drying the bottom down here where the pavement is, in the middle of this street scene. Well, my real objective today was to paint people, get people in the picture. So I picked an area that was a shopping area or a vacation spot where people would be moving around. And so I found a photograph, and I just used that as a reference, and from there I'm going to design my own scene from that. But the elements are the same. The buildings, the people are all the same as a photograph, but it's going to be a little bit different finish. All right, I'll check the paper. Well, that feels dry. I'll check it with the back of my hand, make sure it feels warm. If it feels warm, that's dry. Okay. Okay. Let's see, what I'm going to do is I'm going to mix up some more paint. So I'm going to clean this up a little bit. I don't need this paint anymore here. We'll take that out. Okay, what I'm going to do now is on the building on the left is a little bit cooler than the building on the right. So I'm going to make that the difference now. So the cooler building area, I'm going to make it put in some cool colors. So start out with a cobalt blue. I'm going to add in a little bit of quinacridone violet into that. So I'm going to really change the colors a little bit than what's there. I just don't like drab old brown buildings. So I'm going to be a cool color, but it's going to be. I'll pick up a little bit of burnt sienna, just a little bit. I want to put a little warmth in there, and then a little bit of lavender. So it's going to have a blue tone to it. It's going to have a cool tone to it. Be a little different than the sky. I got to make sure I mix up enough here to cover that area because it's a big area. So I got to mix a little more paint. Get a little more of that purple in there. Okay, and now some colors in here that I've seen. I've seen some special colors. There's a little bit of brown up on some of these buildings. So I'm going to put a little patch of brown. I'm going to put in. And then there's also a little bit of a green, bluish green up on top. So I'm going to take a little bit of my peacock blue here now and use it in part of that building. So I'm mixing my colors ahead of time before I get started. And then I'm going to have also a little bit of red on some of those. Now look at the photograph. You see there's a little bit of greenish top on here, a little bit of brown, a little rust here, a little bit of brown over here. That's the part I'm talking about. Now as I get further down, I'm going to put these red umbrella tops in there. Okay, so those are kind of colors I'm going to pull out and paint in as I go along. Or we're going to try. All right, so I'm going to start now with that blue-green, that blue-green color over here. So we'll get this building here. Just going to get the silhouette, because right now I'm going to have the way I'm going to paint the scene. It's not going to be in sunlight as much as that photograph. I'm going to make it more in shadow, as more of a backlit, design. Okay. All right. Now I'm going to pick up a little bit of that burnt sienna, come across there, make that a brown top on this part here. All right, then I'm going to pick up some of that blue and mixed in with the quinacridone violet, and this is going to be cooler colors here. And this is the top of that building. Again, this is going to be like a silhouette, but it's going to have the same shapes that are in the photograph, but they're going to look entirely different. And that's part of art I like, is not to make anything exactly the same as a photograph, but give us some variety, a little change. And I think changing the colors, not changing the shapes. Let's see, now there's a little bit of brown over here on this side, on this rooftop. I'll put that over there. So I'm following along with some of the colors that I see in the photograph, just to give it some interest and a little variety. As I go down to my palette, I'm picking up a different color. I'll pick up a little more of that purple. Get those poles in there a little bit. And I'll come down on this here. Pick up some more of that purple. Yeah, I'll pick up a little more of that burnt sienna, a little bit of that green, a little greenish blue. Give me a nice variety. A little cerulean blue. Give me some shadows in there. Okay, now I'm coming down to the street side here. I'm going to be picking up some of these shapes down here that are going to show the people and so forth. So what I'm going to do now is just take some of that darker blue with a little bit of burnt sienna. And start putting in some of the figures here. And I'm just going to go ahead and put in the shapes that I see. Just let it merge right in with that background. And when shapes in a painting, they can just be shapes. You don't just let your imagination go, and the viewer will make out what they are if you don't make them too specific. A little more of that background colors in there. Now I'm going to take a little bit of this from Crimson, which is a dark red, and I'm going to use that over here for these umbrellas. I'm going to stick those in these umbrellas over here, just to give a little shape, a little change in color. These are in shadow, so it's going to be a darker red on those umbrellas on top. Make them a difference. So introduce that color in there as I go along. I got another figure here that I can pop in, standing here. And let's see, I got the rest of this building over here I want to finish off. The edge of this building. And try to go around those umbrellas. They can merge in. It's just a color. Okay, now these background buildings here, I'm going to put in a little bit more blue there. I'm going to throw them back just a little bit more. These background buildings here, I'm going to put in a little bit. Use the same blue color, but I'm going to make it a little bit darker to show the outline of those buildings in the background. Push them back into the background using a cooler color in the background. I got some more figures here. Got some more figures. Just indicating where they'll be. Continue on with those background buildings here. Okay, now this is probably going to be my focal point now, so I'm going to change my color now is red. I'm going to put red on these, a darker, brighter red here on these umbrellas here, the darker red. As I got red in the brush, I'm going to go ahead and put it in. Okay. Now as I come across here, I got these figures here. All right, now this building on the right, I'm going to make it a little warmer one. So I'm going to mix up some warmer colors. And here I'm going to use a little bit of yellow ochre, a little burnt sienna, a little more yellow ochre. Even a little bit of yellow lemon. Here, a little bit of yellow lemon. And I'm going to use a little bit of that lavender to knock it down. That lavender takes off that a little edge on that color, because I don't want it to be that bright. So lavender mixed in there with that yellows and browns will kind of darken. It'll kind of darken it down a little bit. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and paint this building over here. It's going to be yellow, or a warmer color. It's going to be a warmer color. And I'm painting right over top of that blue that we made for the sky. Take off this piece of tape here. Okay, using the same brush, and I'm painting this over here. So these are definitely different, warmer colors. I'm using yellow ochres and browns to give it a lighter color. And this will be toward the impact area here, which is going to be brighter. Indicate some of those balconies. Coming on down. went across with that brown mixture. Now after these are just the first layers. What I'm going to do is go back in later on with a little bit of darker colors that'll show accents and show some definition. But right now I'm just getting in the shapes. And you can see a lot of the colors have already dried and are going lighter than when I put them on the paper, which is what to be expected. Okay, there's a couple figures over here, especially on the side here. There's a figure here that I've got standing off here to the corner here, coming into the picture here just a little bit. And there's a figure here standing here also, so I'll get the legs in and so forth. Okay, and the only detail I'm going to put in here now as far as these figures, these are a little bit different, so I'm going to come in a little bit of brown. Maybe a little bit of blue over here. We'll put this. This is going to be long hair, so this is going to be a female with long hair, makeup blonde, coming down, and then we're going to put dark hair on this gentleman here. They're all walking away, so you show the back of the head. Okay. And let's see, I'm going to put a yellow, maybe I'll put I'm going to put a light yellow, a nice yellow, light yellow top on the female. And we'll put let's see, maybe a purple. I got him carrying a backpack there, so I've never changed him out. Okay, all right, that's the start. That's the first layer, and let me mix up some more paints. I'm going to probably use the two smaller brushes now, and I'm going to go ahead and do some detail. I'm going to use this. This is a number 12. Yeah, number 12 is Skoda. It's a round brush. And mix up a little bit of dark color. A little bit of Payne's gray mixed in with a little bit of violet. And a touch of blue. Yeah, I use this bigger brush. So now I'm going to put some windows here in this particular building here. Give it a little structure. These tall windows that are in this large building. Could be a museum, or it could be a opera house or something. Some kind of building there in European scene. There's some windows down here. Yeah, more windows. So that'll kind of define the structure here a little bit. A bigger window over here. And down this little section here, some more windows. Okay. Then across the top, a little shadow here at the top of the roof here. I'm going to put that in. A little shadow. Kind of mark the roof edge. There's a little shadow up here around this edge. Another bigger shadow here. So this will kind of show you, this will kind of make out some of the areas. Shadow under this roof edge. Maybe a ledge here at the bottom of this window section. And this is a little fountain here that's possibly in this area, a little fountain here on the ground. That's enough of the buildings. There's a little bit of structure up here. I'll put a few lines in. This is a rounded area, a little rounded shape up here. Just put a few marks up there. The buildings in the background are just going to be really way off in the distance. Just indicate that that's a large building with windows in it. Just indicating that. Over here I'm going to use a little bit of warmer color. I'll use a blue. Well, not a warmer color. I'll use blue here because it's got some reflection coming from the sky. So these windows here, have a little blue reflection from the sky, so I'll put that in, just indicating it. When it dries, hopefully it'll be a little bluer. Now what happens here with this shadow here is this part of the building here goes into shadow real quick. There's an edge to the side of the building over here, so we'll just indicate that. edge here. It goes back. That part's in shadow. There's a doorway here that's in shadow. Okay. Then there's some balconies here. I'm going to put those in brown to a little brownish, dark brown. So there's a little shadow under this section here. A little shape up here I'll get in. And there's a balcony up here underneath these windows. I'll put that in. Give it just a little bit of structure. Another shadow over this other balcony. And one more. This could be an office building or another large building here in the city. And down here, let's see, give me some more of that lavender, purple. Oh, there's a little awning that goes across here. Pick a little bit of, mix up a little bit of gray here. A little bit of blue in that. And go behind here and put in some windows. Here's a little lower section here's got some windows into this little building front here. Around these figures. Okay, all right. And let's see. Okay, so if you look at it right now, I basically have the structure. I basically have the structure of the painting. I got the buildings in, the form. I've got a building here and a building here, and I've got this area over here that's kind of the impact area with just people in the foreground. Now I can go in and do a little more definition on the people, because that's really what I want to do today, is focus on the people. So for the last few minutes remaining here, I'm going to put in some darker areas. Now here, I'm going to, now this is dry behind now. I waited till it got dry. Now I'm going to put the head. I'll make this into a female also. I'll get a little longer hair. Okay. And so I'm going to identify the people by putting their heads in. The heads are about, you know, as far as dimensions, they're about 1/8 of the size of the person length. Now these are people back here sitting at this this table under these umbrellas. You'll notice they're all about the same height, and that's another thing you want to look at when you draw people. The heads, the horizon line's about right here, so the heads are going to line up just almost about the same level as the horizon line, because that's your viewpoint when you're looking at that scene, and therefore you don't want to have, unless you got a real tall person and a real short person, that could be some variation. If people sitting down will be a little bit down also, a little bit lower. But in general, they're going to be about the same position in the painting. There's a little bit wet over here, so it started to fade on me. And then I'll go in here with some color, and on this over here I can put color now on top of some of these dark figures. I can go ahead and put some blue in here, maybe some blue jeans. up to the waist. And put maybe put a black pair over here. Putting two figures together, it gives you the impression that they're merged together because they're so close, and that makes the form a lot easier to draw. Just don't make it so much detail. And then I can put maybe some over here, put some brown top on this figure here. Arm sticking out there, and this person here, maybe I'll put a little bit of red in here just to compete with that brown. And this person here might be carrying the lady might be carrying a purse. So we'll put a purse down here. Okay. Now the rest of these figures are going to just kind of be filled in. Is they're dark. They're in shadow. They're in shadow already. People sitting back here at this table. They're underneath the shadow. There's just little marks there. A little table here. The pole from the indicating a little bit there. These middle ground figures fit into the scene, depending on the shape and the size and what they're doing. These figures are walking a little bit, walking toward the tables or walking toward somebody to visit. Another person over here is a table. Someone sitting down at the table. Over here, that one's going to dry. So when you're doing figures, it doesn't have to be a lot of definition. Just an idea of a shape and a form, and then the viewer can figure it out exactly what you're talking about. Put some poles here for these umbrellas. Now the paper is dried now a little bit better, so now I'll put another layer of color in there. There's a table. This figure over here is walking in toward the doorway. Okay. All right. Take a look at that now. I'll take off the tape here. Let's take a look at the overall picture. So there'll be some white paper showing on the edges, on the corners. We'll take that off. Okay. This is probably one area that a lot of artists, and including myself, we like to practice a lot, and that's drawing figures in a scene of some kind. So it's something that you should try. I think it makes the painting more interesting, and the more you do, the better off you get. Now, some of these Don't have to be a lot of detail in some of these areas, just indications that there's something there, a shape of some kind. And what I'll do now, I'll punch up those. I think I'll add a little more of that lithium crimson on these. I don't want these to show up too much, but just enough color back here. It faded out on my first initial layer of color, so they faded out. So I go back, add a little more paint into that to make them a little bit. Now they're in shadow, so I made it a little bit duller. And these other umbrellas are much brighter. I'll add a little more color to those. Bring them out a little bit. Okay. So this area right here is definitely my impact area right here. Okay. Now I got one more thing I'm going to do before I stop here. I'm going to make sure this is dry. So I'm going to dry the paint, especially the figures that I did. But I'm going to put a shadow in here, which will, I think will show off the detail, or not detail, will show off the actual dimension of the painting. So I make sure these figures are dry. Because my feeling here is that I've changed the scene completely. I'm going to put this. There's a light pole out here. This is a light pole. I'm going to put this in here. The lamp on top. Yeah. There we go. Alright, so make sure it's perfectly dry because I'm going to put another layer on top of this. The final layer. The final layer. Okay, so what I'm going to do now, take my big brush, which is my Hake, and I'm going to mix up a color of gray, darker gray. There's a gray shadow. So mix up a little bit of that blue paint. So I'm going to use, I'll use the colors right here in the palette. That's usually what I like to do. When I finish a painting, I take all the colors I have left over and kind of make a mixture out of that. If I want to put a shadow in, and put a little bit more purple in with that. Put a little purple into that shadow. So a little Lister crimson there. A little more blue. Okay. A little more Lister crimson. A little purple. So that's my shadow color. It's gray. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to start up here at the top, and I'm going to. This is what I'm going to do is the sun. I have the sun coming right behind this building here. It's going to show up on this one, but it's going to leave a little spot here on the ground. So that's going to be my shadow pattern, coming down from the top left across. So this will be in shadow pattern. I'm going to put this up here in shadow. So a lot of those marks and variety of brush strokes we put in there will be all camouflaged and covered up by the shadow pattern. That's exactly what I want to do. So I wasn't too concerned about getting a lot of detail on the buildings or on the people, because I knew I was going to cover it up. These folks here are all in shadow. So as I come across here now, I'm going to have a little shadow pattern that's going to come across, kind of intersect these folks here in the middle ground. and then go right on out to the corner of the painting. And of course this area over here is in shadow. Going back in, covering in some of those areas. Okay. And the last thing I want to do with the painting is adding a shadow pattern for the people. And I think I better dry it just a second. Give me a second here to dry it one more time. Okay, so the last little touch would be a darker, just slightly darker shadow underneath the people. And that way you don't have to even think about their feet. That way you camouflage the feet. You don't draw feet in people. That's a waste of time. What that does, it shows that they have movement, or their direction they're following, the direction of the sun. Okay. All right. Okay. Well, that completes my painting for today on that one. And let me put a mat around that. That will kind of structure me a little bit. Kind of bring us into, now that makes it look a lot better. I've got this on a close-up camera shot. So I'll put it in there just enough for you to see what the results would be. Now I play around with the mat a little bit to get it into position. And okay, so with the mat board on, so forth, that's not looking too bad. Okay, I got the shadows on the ground, the shadow on this building. This is my center of interest over here, which I planned on ahead of time. Now let me show you. I did another one. I did a practice paint before. This is one I did with a little smaller. And you can see here kind of the same results, but every time you do it, it's going to be a little bit different. You can expect that. Okay? Same thing. Okay, so let me go back to my main camera. Okay. Oh, it was a demonstration today of painting people in a street scene, and that can be a lot of fun, and it's something that needs to be practiced a little bit. Getting the shape of folks, people walking and sitting down, or doing things or doing activities that would normally happen during people walking on the street or around town, and get a good photograph, get a couple of good photographs, and to design your painting. But start out with just a simple scene, and I think you'll have more results. You saw there some of the approaches I took. I eliminated the photograph entirely and just painted the shapes in there. Once I got the shapes, then I added in small details. So I'll be back this evening at 7:30 with Everett, simply drawing with Everett at 7:30 p.m. And then I'll be back again next week at 2 o'clock with Everetts Watercolors. And on Sunday I have a little one. At 1 o'clock. It doesn't matter what time. It'll be Sunday. It comes out. Anyone can draw with one line only, and that comes out on Sunday. And I do some shorts on the weekend, so you can enjoy those. So if you're subscribed to my channel, give me a thumbs up and a like. I appreciate that. And if you're subscribed to the channel, you'll be notified of all my next upcoming videos. So thank you for watching, and I'll see you on the next live video.